All right, today we're talking CustomFIT. CustomFIT is our bespoke bag manufacturing process where you supply us with dimensions and we will build a bag just for you. So a great option if we don't have exact fit or direct fit bags already patterned for your boat. It gives you the ability to really dial in the fit, the capacity, accommodate anything that you want to in your application. We've had customers that have had extra batteries, subwoofers, want to keep space on top of the bag for gear, whatever it might be. CustomFIT allows you to do that. Also have CustomFIT solutions that we made for customers for the back of their trucks and for their RVs for storing water. So get creative with that. But that's kind of the idea with CustomFIT is you have an application that doesn't fit within the mold of the existing bags that we offer. We can't get close enough from a fit standpoint with a universal fit bag, for example, and you're leaving capacity on the table. And so CustomFIT allows you to really optimize the fit and capacity for your specific application, whether you're going for the most possible weight or whatever. So great option if you need it, and something that we offer. There's a little bit of an extra charge for it just because there's some extra engineering work and effort on our end for our team that goes into basically making a single bag. And so that just doesn't get amortized out over all the bags that we make when we're building a universal fit or an exact fit solution. But it's actually pretty affordable for what you're getting, truly a one-off custom bag, and you're in the driver's seat, right? You can be as detailed with your dimensions or as simple as you want to be, get as crazy from a geometry standpoint, whatever you want to do. There are some limitations, but our engineers and our craftsmen are super skilled, and they can pretty much do anything that you can dream up. So pretty awesome. So that's what CustomFIT is, kind of the background here. Thought we'd take you through the process of how to measure your boat if you've determined, whether working with one of our product advisors or on your own, that CustomFIT's going to be the right option for you. So if you're in a project boat, let's take a look and we'll show you kind of things to be aware of and how to think about it when you go to measure. All right, so once you have decided to go the CustomFIT route, the questions that inevitably come up from customers are, how do I get the best dimensions? What kind of things do I need to be aware of? How detailed do I get with my dimensions? So kind of just starting at the top and walking through this, we can handle whatever you want to supply for us. We've had customers in the past that have turned in fully generated CAD drawings for us. We've had customers in the past that have just scratched out something on the back of a napkin, taken a picture of it and sent it in, right? So we can really accommodate anything that you want to do. Our online tool on the website, if you just go to WakeMAKERS.com/CustomFIT, will allow you to enter basic, rectangular, or single transition dimensions. So you can do that all online. Get a quote, place your order all in real time, never talking to us if you want to. You can also, get in touch with the product advisor. They can help walk you through that. So go as detailed as you want from a dimension standpoint, and get as specific as you want. If you just want to make a rectangle, make a rectangle. If you want to follow the contour, most boats are going to be wider at the top of the compartment than they will be at the floor. So if you want to have a taper to your outside edge, to accommodate that, you can totally do that. If you want to just pick the average, from a width standpoint and just have a rectangle, that's fine too. It's totally up to you. There's no extra charge really for the extra geometry, so be as specific as you want to be when it comes to your dimensions. The other things that we get asked about are, what do I do with features that might exist in the locker compartment? So we're here in our season 2 project boat, which is a Taiga 21V. And it's got the shower mixing controls for hot and cold in this rear locker down at the floor. And so, a common question from customers would be, do I withhold some of the length of the bag to give extra space for that from a clearance perspective? Do I need to build a box over the top of that, for example, to protect those? The reality is that what we see in pretty much every case is you can just measure the full length of the compartment, and that will work just fine from a bag dimension standpoint. At the bottom of the bag is where the force is going to be the highest, and so because of the height of the column of water in the bag. But a lot of people will get concerned and think, okay, the dimensions for this bag for this compartment, for example, probably ends up being around 1,000 pounds capacity. And they'll be worried that they're gonna put 1,000 pounds of weight onto that mixing valve. And that's just not the case. It's just gonna be the column height of water that's sitting on top of that valve that's gonna be the amount of force that the valve feels or sees. So something like that will survive no problem there. Obviously, it's not gonna be accessible with the valves full, so that's another issue that you might wanna relocate them up to a higher point and then keep the height of the bag lower to be able to access the valve if you wanna use the shower with the bag fill. But so most elements that you're gonna find in the rear locker area, you can just size the bag as if they're not there. While we could maybe come up with a way to manufacture a bag that has a little cutout in it, bags are not rigid. They're gonna conform to the space that they're in. And so it's not worth it. Just measure the dimensions of the locker without worrying about little features like that or the table mounting brackets that are on this divider panel. You can just run right over the top of that with the bag and it's not gonna be a problem, right? So really what we're looking for are like sharp corners, any unfinished fiberglass edges, any types of screws that could be sticking through. Most boat manufacturers, that we're working with are really good about fit and finish. That's not typically a problem, but those are the things that we want to be aware of because that can damage the bag. Something that you might run into would be the transom lifting rings where the bolts come through the transom of the boat if there isn't a finished carpet panel back here. That might be something that we want to avoid, the bag sitting against those bolts and abrading against that as we're driving through rough water, that kind of thing. But otherwise, we can pretty much just measure the locker dimensions and go with it. So we'll take a look at this boat and see what we're gonna come up with here. So, just taking a peek at things, we've got a little bit of taper. This rear panel along the transom is tipped back slightly. So, it's gonna give us a little bit longer length measurement at the top than at the bottom. Again, we can accommodate that. If you wanna provide that for us in the drawings that you submit, then we can totally build a bag that's gonna match that same angle. The other option is just to kind of take a measurement and go with it, right? So if we grab a tape measure here and run this out, what we're seeing is that this locker ends up being right about 40 inches long from the trim panel that's up behind the rear seat to the rear locker. If we drop down at the floor, it ends up, like I said, there's a little bit of taper there, so it's about 38 inches for total length. And so, if you wanted to be that specific with your measurements, you can totally accommodate that. We can totally accommodate that. The other option would be just say, hey, I'm gonna call it 40 inches in length, and that's what I'm gonna go with. We're gonna see a more exaggerated difference here when we get to the width. So if we come in and measure the width of the locker, you can see we're sitting at 28 inches, roughly, and this is a good opportunity to talk, on the tape here, this is 28 and a quarter, 28 and 3/8 maybe even. You wanna get that specific, go for it, knock yourself out, right? You can just call it 28 and that's totally fine as well. If we go down to the bottom of the locker though, because of the taper that exists on this side panel on this step here, we can see that we're down to 22.5 inches. So we've lost 6 inches in width. And so up to you, if this were my boat, I would submit dimensions that are 22 inches at the bottom and 28 inches at the top because I'm paying for a one-off bag that's made just for this boat. I want it to fit as well as it possibly can. I think that's worth it personally, but if you want to just pick the 28-inch measurement and make sure that you're going to completely fill the space, that works totally fine too. Kind of up to you how you want to handle that. And then if we move up to the front of the locker here, we see kind of something similar where, we've gained another basically inch in width up at the top. We're out up to 29.5 inches now. And so same thing, if you want to submit a width that's wider at the front of the bag, at the front of the locker for the front of the bag, you can totally do that. If you want to just keep that width consistent at 28 inches all the way through, that's totally fine as well. So that's kind of up to you how you want to handle it. So we've got our length, we've got our width. Height is going to be very much the same. So if I drop tape here, we've got room to run the bag up a little bit taller. The way that the hatch fits in this boat is it sits on this surface. We've got the pneumatic strut and some mounting brackets that are not really going to damage a bag, but want to leave a little bit of room there. So we could bring the bag up just right up to the bottom and say, hey, okay, we're looking at 22 inches in height. Take that measurement a couple different places. you know, around the locker, and it's pretty consistent here. So kind of just stick with that same 22-inch measurement. That would work just fine. And if that works for you, great. If you want to, you know, have a little more space on top for storage, that's an option too, to retain a little bit more storage space. So kind of up to you how you want to handle that. One thing I will touch on real quick is just the vent overflow connection and where that's positioned in the boat. If you have an existing ballast system that came from the factory, or you're installing your own ballast system, that is something to be aware of when it comes to the height of the bag. Talk to your product advisor if you want to have more discussion about that, more options that are available there, but that's something to be aware of. So that's kind of the high level overview of how to grab dimensions for your custom fit bag. If you have any questions about that process, feel free to contact a product advisor. Happy to walk you through it, happy to answer, you know, send us pictures. Yeah, you should worry about that geometry, or you know, or don't worry about that. It's not that important from a fit standpoint. Hopefully that helps answer questions, and if we can help you out with anything else, just let us know.